Everybody, we've got JFK, we've got Epstein, we've got Zelensky, we have got Trump. But most importantly, we have got Lionel Nation. Prepare to come out of your state of animated suspension. We are live, laughter, frolics, but serious issues, folks. Get your questions in, and don't forget, follow Lionel. His links are in the description box. If you see me lean over like this, it's just because I'm picking baby Ziggy up. He's running around the room like crazy after he's recovered from his rest.
Because your syncope is back.
My syncope.
Syncope. Syncope, yes. By the way, I don't know about you, but mispronunciations, or as my friend would always say, mispronunciations.
Freudian slip.
Do you know Victor Davis Hanson? You know who he is, right? Victor Davis Hanson?
No.
Okay, good. He is an intellectual type here, and he's on Fox. I think he died in 1988, but nobody told him. Anyway, he's dead. He can't. He pronounces words like I just heard him right now. He said the Gulf. He's trying to say the Gulf of America, which President Trump had renamed. He calls it the Gulf of America. And just drive people who just prostrate surgery and supposedly and Tijuana. People who go to Tijuana, it's Tijuana. Anyway, it drives me crazy. But enough about that. Enough about me. How about those JFK files?
So what does it all mean, Lionel? Have you read through them yet?
Limited hangout. Nothing. The only good thing, though, and I will say this, is that it gives people the kind of a reminder about how awful and terrible the government is in terms of intel and hiding and doing terrible things. And what happens is, I can't speak for you. Whoa, hey, I can't speak for you. I can't speak for you or the UK or your fine Brits. But in our country, give somebody an old 4th, 5th generation document, have it say secret, put a circle around it or block it in red and go, aha! And they'll say, well, what is it? Aha! And then they come up with these ideas. Look, the bottom line is simply this. We don't know who actually pulled the trigger. But I think everybody does know that it was a conspiracy. And let me remind the world, a conspiracy doesn't mean crazy. It means more than one person. If you act alone, you're on your own. If you confederate with somebody else, you conspire. From the Latin word conspirare, to breathe together. That's all it means. It just means that there's more than one. And the idea that Lee Harvey Oswald acted on his own, but it was something. President Trump is trying his best to look, bless his heart. He's trying to unleash. Now, the Epstein matter is another story. There he is. JG. Hey. Oh, hey. What are you doing? What are you doing? Is that you? Whoa, incoming. Hit the deck. Fire in the hole. How are you? My point exactly, my friend. My point exactly. I didn't know you spoke Italian. How are you? How are you? What it look like? How's it hanging? Sometimes it be like that. Got to be careful.
Keep rolling. Keep rolling.
Oh no. But anyway, but this morning, the people that drive me crazy, and I think Ziggy would agree, are these JFK experts. These historians who say nothing. They keep repeating the same thing over and over again. And they say, yeah, but who killed Kennedy? Well, that's a problem. But you see, the landlady and it was a Manica Carcano and it was a Mauser. Yeah, but who killed Kennedy? I know. See, even he knows. I feel the same way. It's annoying. They say, by the way, don't delete. But I appreciate the historians, the JFK types. But the thing is, they don't tell us anything new. They just sit around in this kind of a quasi masturbatory sense to see who knows more minutia and more arcana and more recondite nonsense. That drives me crazy. But have you met these people? Have you ever talked to JFK people before? I can't hear you.
We've had loads of JFK. We've had loads of JFK people on. Some of them are absolutely fascinating. We had Lee Harvey Oswald's best friend from Russia on, Ernst Titovitz. That was absolutely fascinating.
So who killed Kennedy?
A conspiracy, including the CIA.
No, who killed him? Who pulled the trigger? Who was the gunman? Who was the? They have no idea. I don't care about this.
Multiple, possibly. We think.
No, but how does he know this? I mean, with all due respect, seriously,
it's not necessarily what he said. It's just, there's no way Oswald could have done it on his own, is there, with that wonky weapon?
Well, but we've known that for I don't know how many years. What do we know that's new? Even Ziggy knows. What happens is I've never seen anything where more people get together and they just regurgitate the same stuff. Yeah, I know it's not, or it was a conspiracy. I know that. We know that. Everybody knows that. So what do we say? But they love to say, well, you don't understand. See, it was a Manicure Carcano. And when they found the rifle, it said Mauser, but it really wasn't. It was a Manicure. And then Payne, who was the woman who had the boarding house, and Officer Tippett, he had a size 9 shoe versus a 10.5. Okay, fine, that's great. Who killed him? Well, I don't know who killed him, but it was somebody. And then they'll say it was the CIA. How do you know it was the CIA? I want to go to a jury.
So isn't the CIA the enforcement arm for vested interests? Huge corporate interests, huge geopolitical interests.
Prove it. But I mean, yeah, that's great. And listen, I'm not trying to give you a hard time because I think I wouldn't be surprised. But I'm a lawyer by profession. I want to go to a jury and say, okay, ladies, it is a CIA. Why? Because this guy says he was a CIA and he was a CIA contractor. His name is Sean Atwood, and he was a contractor, and he said he killed it. That will be good, as opposed to, well, you see, I see it's a military industrial complex. It's Israel, and it's why? Well, because of the I love the way because JFK had a beef with Ben Gurion. Listen to me. Look, you know enough about the criminal justice system, I think, not just by virtue of just doing what you do. You have to prove something. I can't say, I don't know. You probably, no. Give me, whether it's Diddy, Jay-Z, SBK, whoever, Ted Bundy. You can't merely throw this kind of a stuff like we all do. Now, politically, we all know this. Tell me something new. Here is the most important information that I want everybody to think about, which I ask somebody this question. Whenever you meet somebody who says, well, you know, Lee Harvey Oswald, the reason why people are so unable to handle this is because we can't imagine that our prince, not our fingerprints, but our PRINCE, could have been taken from this insignificant. Have you heard that one? The reason why we come up with these theories is because we cannot believe how our golden boy could have been. No, that's not the reason why. The facts don't make sense. But the most important piece of information is how there was evidence of a bullet, a round that went through the windshield or the windscreen when the car is moving away from the Texas school book, the Texas school book suppository, as I call it. That's it. Thank you very much. Good night. Your witness. That's a conspiracy. That's it. You can talk now. Who was that person? Well, we can talk about all kinds of stuff. That is the most important. Not the idea that, well, the Mannlicher Carcano was difficult to. No. I don't care how hard it was to shoot. It doesn't matter. That is it right there, period. How about the fact that it was immediately sent to some Ford factory in Detroit to replace the windshield of a crime of evidence? What? How about the fact that it was washed immediately? So right there, do you think that they didn't understand the rules of evidence? If that is not only people in the police or the government could have had access to it. So somebody somewhere, it seems to me, is covering up. But that could have theoretically been an idiot. But a bullet hole around in the windshield, that's it. That's the end of the discussion. Everything else is a matter of if somebody coughs up 62 years ago, who was the person? I don't know. That's it. Everything else is a waste of time. Well, Nixon one time. Oh, Mac Wallace, LBJ's for. That's nonsense. I don't care what that means nothing to me. That's just that explains intrigue. Give me evidence.
Lionel, aren't there people so powerful in the world they don't care about the rules of evidence because they are in an untouchable class? And isn't there a tipping point? It's easy for people to say, so and so did it, the CIA did it, Israel did it, whatever. But we can't use that to discredit the fact that there's a tipping point when enough vested interests become your enemy. Something bad's going to happen to you, basically.
I will tell you right now that in my heart of hearts, he was killed via a conspiracy. And we can identify the name. Let me tell you what I think makes the most sense. Okay. Let's be practical. First, the mindset. 1963, 18 years after the end of World War II. All these people walking around, everybody was a soldier. Everybody had served. Everybody was proficient. Everybody had been in combat. The whole place, it was a different story. We just defeated Hitler. The idea of the OSS and everybody working together and Intel, they could do anything. They could absolutely do anything they wanted. It was a different world. Okay, fine. Now, what they did was, after a period of time, the idea of somebody says, okay, let's meet, what do they call it, room 4F or something, that one hotel that LBJ. I think that it makes the most sense for a conversation to be like this. Sean, I think a lot of our problems would be not problems if we didn't have certain people to worry about anymore. You know what I mean? Exactly. That's all I want to know. You got it? Good. I'm going to go to somebody else and say, because I don't want to be somewhere, God forbid, recorded in a room. And okay, everybody vote. Do we whack him? Yes. No, it doesn't work like that. Next, I'm not going to go to somebody called the, quote, CIA. The CIA is going to say, get your ass out of here. I don't know you. Alan Dulles would say, we will talk about this. Capiche? We have contract people. We're not going to go to the CIA. Nobody is going to say, hey, Atwood, yeah, we're going to write down in the document that can be released 62 years later, put that shit. We don't put things into documents. Hey, look, open up this file. Guess what I found? A rifle. Hey, bullet fragments. Here's the president's. What do you think you're going to find in there? Okay, you're not going to find that. But we know, call it what you want. If you and I walk into a place and we see evidence of a homicide, we know somebody was murdered, but we don't know who did it, why they did it. So I understand that. Circumstantially, yeah. But for me to say it was the CIA, no. Not necessarily the CIA. CIA could have said, I don't have to do this. The guy was hated by everybody. It was a different world then, too. It was a world. We remember, the people in charge just defeated the Axis. They're invincible. Russia was they could do whatever they want. Today, they probably would say, whoa, wait a minute, hold it. Maybe not. Look at this kid in Burton, Pennsylvania, the one who tried to take out President Trump. So anyway, going back to this, it was wonderful, but I want people to realize your government then is still in place now. Don't think that, the people may be different, but that's all I want people to understand. It's just that there were people then who said, we're going to do a palace coup. We're going to do this. We're going to take him out. And let me also ask you, and I want all of your wonderful audience to ask, why are the Kennedys so quiet about this? Just like with the royal family, just like with Wills, and they never talk about their mother at all. Never. Oh yeah, mom, yeah, whatever. They talk more about Megan than they do. It's the weirdest thing. It's almost like we don't talk about it. There are about 18,000 Kennedy family members, cousins, in-laws, in-laws, cousins of the cousins. Bobby Kennedy Jr. never says a word about it. This is the release of the documents regarding the evidence of who killed his uncle. He doesn't say anything. It's the weirdest thing.
Perhaps they don't want to lose any more family members to these people. And if you go to ancient Rome, it's human nature, isn't it? Leaders knocking off each other, rivaling for power. And you said there was a conspiracy. So who do you think are the prime movers in your conspiracy?
Well, let me ask you this, but let me go back to it. Isn't it funny that the Kennedys don't say anything? I just can't get
I think they're scared. I think they're afraid. These people have already wiped out two of the guys.
Sean,
if they speak up,
what is he afraid of? He's got to say something. The world is talking. If ever there was a time for Bobby Kennedy to get a pass on saying, well, good news, we got to get to the bottom of it, it's now. Nobody's going to say one word, Bobby. Say one word and you're toast. Say anything. I'm not going to say anything. No. Just say something. Don't say anything. Well, I'm glad. Okay, that's it. Bang. Come on. He doesn't even talk about this.
Put yourself in his shoes. If you've got a family, two of your family members get whacked, are you at a point where you're just going to turn around and go after the whackers? Or are you going to back down, be quiet, and not risk any more family members getting killed?
No, because they could have been killed now. They're not. There's no deal. But you don't make a deal with these people. You want the whackers to be shut down. You want them to say, "Get the hell out! They're on to us. Beat it." The way to get after the whackers and not be the wacky is to expose them. Two things I've always been fascinated by, which I wish somebody, and I'm not saying it's true, but I would love to pursue it. MK Ultra, which is declassified, you know that. In the case of Sirhan and his father, and Mark David Chapman and John Lennon. I'm telling you, it stinks to high heaven. You rarely get people who say, I did what? Yeah, Sirhan, you killed Bobby Kennedy. What? Yeah, because of his views on Israel, on Jordan. What were Bobby Kennedy's? You kill Bobby Kennedy because of Jordan. I don't know what you're talking. You see, look, everybody watching today, we're the freaks, okay? We're the ones that always tell everybody else, no. You don't get it. They're saying, oh, here comes an Atwood again. Oh, God, he lives in La La Land. Sometimes I'd rather have somebody in La La Land I can bring back than somebody I'm trying to push. They want us to be always innocent, always open-minded, never at the point of being really, for lack of a better word, suspicious. We knew some, and it could be, the list of suspects are forever. Let me tell you a couple of people that are really interesting. The guy who probably had more to do with the death of John Kennedy was Bobby Kennedy.
Well, let me get a word in here. So you said that, now is the time to get people to brought to justice, etc. So I think these people operate so dangerously out of the shadows, and any files incriminating them were destroyed at the time.
Oh, yeah.
That to bring anyone to justice,
no.
In an ideal world, that would be the case. But the corruption here is so high, at such a high level of government, of deep state.
Oh,
anyone can take anyone out at any time. So they're probably still afraid that something could happen to them if they pursued it.
No, put it this way: the world is pursuing it. The last thing in the world. Who do they want? Bobby Kennedy? Okay, we're going to show Max Kennedy. Who are the others? What of the some camp? I'm trying to think of the ones with Bobby, Max, Kerry, all these others. No. First, they're going to say, we're going to let you go. There is no conspiracy. Nobody's out to get you. That would confirm it.
Because they're not pursuing it. Because they're not pursuing it realistically. That's why there's no risk.
What Kennedy is worth starting this again? Look, if there's one thing we found out, whether it's Seth Rich, go down the list, nobody cares. Hastings, nobody looks at anything. Gene Hackman, they're like, well, he had his heart. Say his wife called she called the doctor a day after she died. You can get away with murder here, literally, because Americans, for the most part, are just so stupid. Nothing grabs them. Nothing makes them say, wait a minute. Do you know, I have a list. I have an idea of a show. If you and I did a show, a TV show, I would have this thing. It would be like a dry erase board. And I take these little these Post-it notes, and I would write Hawaii fire, Maui, Lahaina, right? Put it on there. Next, Las Vegas sniper shooting, right? Boom. And then every week or so, bring that out. And I have this woman in like a nice muumuu come out, and we see all these stickers. Go, look at all the stories that we just never followed up on. Never. We never follow up on them. 3 days and we just forget the whole thing. How about, I'm glad to see Kate Middleton looks like she's better. What was that about? Wait a minute. What was all that fake nonsense where they were pretending, where she was sitting in front of some AGI? I don't know what the hell that was. Nothing to see here. Move along. Wait a minute. No, move along. Okay. Well, just we're not going to ask any questions about this. Remember, and God bless him. Thank God. You remember how bad your King Chuck was? He's doing great. Wait a minute. What happened with it? I'm glad he's okay. We just say, oh, well, never move along. Move along. That's it. We don't follow through. Name the poison. Name the issue. We have the attention span of a gnat. We give it 3 days, and then I always tell people, don't worry about it. Listen, believe me, tomorrow they're going to forget the whole Kennedy thing. They're going to forget the whole story. They're going to forget everything. They've already forgotten the Epstein files. The files. I love this. I'm saying, what do you think you're going to find in the files? I don't know. We had the Attorney General who said, and tomorrow by 8 o'clock, don't do that. You think somebody will say, hey, listen, folks, got to make sure we have these files, right? Because I'm about to make a goddamn fool out of myself. I'm going to say that we're going to, okay, fine. We're already done with the Epstein files. We're not even talking about it anymore. We're just done with it. It's like, it's boring. Next. You want to talk about Yemen? You want to talk about the Houthis? Next. You want to talk about Gaza? Next. You want to name it. Name the thing which is the most compelling or important to you. Next. It is the strangest thing ever.
So you brought up Yemen and the Houthis. Trump said he was, coming to power to stop wars. But isn't it the case that the military-industrial complex needs 50 to 100 billion of war each year? Otherwise, you're going to end up like JFK. So basically, they've allowed Trump to suppress Ukraine, which is iffy because they've reinstated weapons, money, and intelligence. Meanwhile, they're revving it up against the Houthis and possibly Iran. So, what hope does Trump have when these powerful vested interests seem to override the will of the president every time?
By the way, I want your folks to ask, is it Houthi or Houthi? I don't know.
I hate mispronunciations.
I know. I can't stand them. I always make sure I get the right thing. There's some people. I think it's Houthi that we have heard people say. In any event. Like Hootie and the Blowfish. Hootie. Anyway, the thing which is the most important. Let's go back. Do you know what they control? Have you seen that little piece of real estate that they control? It's in Yemen. Bab al, no matter what I do, it's called the Bab al, here we go. The Bab al Mandeb. Have you heard this one? The Bab al Mandeb. Now, this doesn't sound like mine, right? Bab al Mandeb. You know what they call it? This is my favorite. It's a great place for you to go and visit. They call it the the Gateway of Tears. No, they call it here we go. The Bab al-Mandab Strait. It's called the Gate of Tears or the Gate of Grief. And it's a strait between Yemen and the Arabian Peninsula and Djibouti and Eritrea and the Horn of Africa. And it connects the Red Sea to the Gulf of Aden and then on to the Indian Ocean and the Suez Canal. Blah, blah, blah. It is probably one of the most critically important pieces of nautical real estate ever. And it's like this. It's this little tiny thing. And this guy comes out with a beret and a bunch of medals, and he goes, ah, la, 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 and they go, oh, come on. Well, that guy will say, well, watch what we've got drones. You will not be able to get a ship in there. You don't know what this is. We control this. And you took us on? You took us because you think we're what? Now, for some reason, I don't know. If you put a figurative gun to my head, I'm saying, what did these people ever do to us? I don't know. And if either Israel goes after Iran or through some kind of whatever, it escalates. And Iran says, all right, we've had enough. You think Russia's going to help Iran? You goddamn right they are. Now we're in it. So what are we doing?
So let's go over some of the backstory then.
Yeah.
I've been listening to Colonel Douglas McGregor and Scott Ritter on this. They said that when Trump brokered the ceasefire, the Houthis stopped any kind of attacks on ships.
Mm-hmm.
But all of a sudden, the US is now bombing them, and they've not attacked any ships in months. And they're bombing on the basis that they're attacking ships. So it seems like it's a pretext to escalate war, which I believe is motivated by the military-industrial complex. And I believe they are overriding Trump's will to get all wars wound down.
Well, you're also hearing what people are saying, what Judge Napolitano is doing and McGregor and Mearsheimer and everybody else. They're saying this is all a proxy war for Israel. Now, whether you believe it or not, it doesn't matter. This is the bottom line. This is what they're saying. That we're out there and that Iran backs everything. Iran backs everything. It sponsors everything. All the people and everything. If you have a rash on your arse, it was Iran. They did it. All right. Now, all I know is we had the other day Kash Patel, who is our FBI head, who said, and we're going to make sure that Israel, our number one ally. Now, let me say this when you brought off the bat. Let me just be as clear as possible. I've got no problem with the people of Israel. Love them. I've been twice. Love the place. Is the people wonderful where I've been. Haifa was beautiful. You name it. That's over here. Judaism, I have no concern whatsoever. That's over here. Not anti-Semitic. That's over here. I'm talking about Bibi Netanyahu and a military operation regarding the state of Israel. That's what we're talking about. And in our country, the argument is made, and Napolitano and others are saying that there's this organization called AIPAC, which you've heard, which is basically the Jewish lobby, which they claim owns everybody, and that we're making all this posturing in order to satisfy them, quid pro quo for the monies received, whatever it is. I don't understand, with all the problems, what does Iran have to do with us? What have they ever done? Let me be very clear. I don't care. With all due respect, I don't care. You know, Conor McGregor, by the way, he's a weirdo. He and the Tate brothers, that notwithstanding, what he said about what's going on in Ireland I don't care. You don't care about what goes on in my country. I don't care what goes on in yours. I really don't. I wish you the best. I wish you peace. How is it that as President Trump is doing tremendous inroads regarding Putin, Putin's, I think, one of the smartest people, most rational person ever. I can explain the whole military operation easily. But then there's this other side that shows this psychotic disconnect when it comes to Iran. I don't understand it. Have you explained what's happening to anybody? If I showed you instrument rating if I said, okay, I'm going to show you a country, I'm not going to tell you which one, and let's say it was Gaza, Palestine, whatever, you would say, oh my God, this has got to stop. This is terrible. This is genocide. This is ethnic cleansing. This is apartheid. This is Israel. Oh, well, that's different. That's exactly what you would do. You would say, wait a minute. Now, what am I supposed to do? What? I'm anti-Semitic? I'm pointing out an obvious thing here. I was the one who said my country was wrong in Vietnam. I said it, still say it. What was I, anti-American?
Iran has been on the hit list for the Project for the New American Century for decades. And Chomsky wrote that America has a foreign policy of resource extraction. You're either a client state or you're not a client state. And if you're not a client state, America will come up with all kinds of diabolical schemes, pretext, false flags, etc., to make you a client state.
Little by little, I hope with the exception of Russia and Ukraine, aside from that, there's a big difference. There is not a difference in this administration and the prior administration when it comes to the rest of the world. When it comes to Middle East, or it's identical. It's completely identical. Okay, I have this feeling, and I would like to believe this, where President Trump would say, I know. Work with me on this. I can't break away right away. Russia I can do a lot of good with. That's complete nonsense. But this is ridiculous. I mean, this is one where the entire world, please help me out with this, with the exception of, I don't know, maybe, forget NATO, but what is happening to the poor people of Palestine, it is just, I as a human being, my heart, you as a parent, when I see kids stacked up like cords of wood, and I'm thinking, well, they're doing that because because Hamas is in the underground and they have to be, and look, that is just, I can't believe what I'm seeing. I can't believe was it. But then again, I lived through Vietnam. We have a wall in Washington. If ever you want to see it, it's something. 58,000 names. You go, what the hell was this? We went over there to kill people. We still don't know why we did it. So is this any different? Did people just wake up and say, well, this is the worst? No, it's not. I mean, I shouldn't say thank God. Forgive me, strike me. I'm sorry for saying that. But they're doing this. We were so crazy, we went over there. 58, those were dead. Forget the maimed and the completely out of their mind. We are the worst form of species. But let's go back to Russia. Russia makes the most sense. Russia, I hope we see ultimately the complete and total extrication of the U.S. from NATO. I don't know when. Do we need NATO? NATO was there for what? To protect us from what? The Soviet Union. Last I heard, there ain't no Soviet Union. It's ridiculous. What are we doing in NATO? We are NATO.
Lionel, are you disheartened by the escalation in the Middle East when we thought things were going to calm down all over the world?
Horrible. Absolutely. It's like, what are we doing here? Put it this way. You've created a problem that there's no solution for. It's like what is the answer? There's no two-state solution. I haven't the foggiest idea of what I would do to fix it. But the first thing I would do is, listen, I hate to say this, what would Jesus do? Jesus would say, stop it! Stop! Stop! Whatever you're doing, stop. We'll get to the point. Just stop. This has to stop now. This is bizarre. Same thing with Ukraine. What did you want? Let me ask you this one. This is the best part. Could you please tell me why Ukraine is still not in NATO when that's what this is all about? What the hell were they there for? Why did NATO say, well, of course you're going to be in NATO. Come on in. Come on in. This is what it was there for. Because Putin basically said, you're not going to put a NATO country on my border. That's it. And they said, you're not going to tell us whether they're going to be in NATO or they're going to be on NATO. You're goddamn right they're going to be in NATO. Okay. When? Soon. Soon. And so they get this guy of all the people. They get Zelensky, the guy who plays his organ with his organ. This is the guy they got. Why didn't they get somebody who comes up who talks like this? Some 6 foot, oh my God. Somebody maybe that people respect. Who's this clown? Sean, you can't write this stuff. So anyway, so Putin said, I don't know how many times, I don't want you to do this. So finally, when the military operation started, what happened? He and Zelensky were going to meet. And then your guy, Bojo, comes in and says, oh, no, you don't. It's bizarre. It is bizarre. I don't understand war. I would be the worst. It's the most ridiculous. As a human being, what am I doing? If you just want to say, look, do me a favor. Let's take all of our USAID money. I don't know if you know about that with Elon. And just say, look, we will pay all of you military folks just to go away. If we pay you, could we just stop this? Yes. Okay, let's just pay them off and be done with it. It'd be cheaper. Just pay them. Lockheed Martin, here you go. Raytheon, how much do you want? Give them the money. Whatever they want. Just shut up, shut down, and go away. We don't need you anymore. What are these wars for? What do we need an F-35 for? We're going to go after what? Somebody in Iran with an F-35? What do we need a battle carrier battalion? What is this, a battle of Midway? What do we have navies for? What is this? What do we, it blows my mind. So anyway, you know what Elon Musk did because they're going after all the Teslas. You've heard about that, right?
Yeah, and the stocks come back down to $200.
Well, you know what? Now's the time to buy.
So let me just address a few points you've raised there. You're saying why do they need all? You're saying why do they need all this military stuff? According to Adam Smith, Wealth of the Nations, and Guns, Germs, and Steel, whichever country has got the biggest military technological advancements will dominate the world until someone else comes up with some kind of innovation that puts them out of business. And then you said about the Middle East, Yemen, etc. So with Trump, then, in terms of political power, when it comes to war, with Middle East policy, does this suggest to you that Trump is not in charge when it comes to Middle East policy, when it comes to war? There are dark forces above him that are calling the shots. That's my question.
Yes, absolutely. Or
does that disappoint you? Does that disappoint you?
No. Or you walked into something and says, listen, you are going to make, it's going to be a while for you to extricate yourself from all of this. This is something that pre-exists you or precedes you. This is the way it is. Look, you and I are here. We are YouTubers, right? And no matter what we do, no matter what we say, we are constantly always bowing to rules and algorithms set, no matter how great we are. And we can change this slowly. But while you're here, there are certain things that he is going to have to, he can't upset the apple cart. Exactly. By the way, as they're looking at all of these JFK files, you don't think Trump's saying, I got 3 times I got this. So I should maybe take this a little bit easy. By the way, the great Bill Hicks, the great comedian Bill Hicks, Bill Hicks had a great line years ago. And I hate because I hate most comedians are just a waste of time. But he said something very good. He said years ago, I have an idea that when the president of the United States comes into office for the first time, and they show him where his desk is and where the bathroom is, somebody said, Mr. President, do you mind? Yeah, we're going to show you something. And they pull the drapes down, and they bring out an old projector, like an old 8mm, with a screen. He goes, we're going to show you something. And it's November the 22nd, 1963. From a vantage point of the assassination, from a vantage point nobody's ever seen before, almost from the point of view of the assassin. Nobody's ever seen this. And he realizes, and then they turn the lights back on. He goes, now, any questions? So as the president right now is going through this, I think he's going to be very careful that he understands his vision, but he's not going to upset the apple cart too quickly. He'll be allowed certain, Ukraine, go ahead. We all like that one. Middle East. Meanwhile, though, the irony, the country couldn't care less. Americans couldn't care less. The world, I would say, is exactly the opposite. Just spend any amount of time. So within this inertial bubble, there's this move. It's the weird. We saw with LBJ. LBJ, when he came after the when he said, I'm not going to be the first president to lose a war. We have to stop the communists from this domino effect. They would say, what are you talking about? It's been done before. But you're right about this. If all of a sudden we disarmed, if we said, I don't want to disarm, believe me when I tell you that. Oh, no. But the idea of us expending, we don't even have any weapons now. If God forbid we need, rockets, and we don't have them. Speaking of which, changing the subject. How about Elon Musk? How about those 2 people or 3, whatever, in space saying, hey, remember us? And she with the Bride of Frankenstein with her hair. And she, remember us? Yeah. Oh, son of a bitch. I'm sorry. We forgot all about you. Can somebody come get us? And who did it? Elon. Elon, I'll be right there. And he does it. So I'm thinking to myself, when I meet this, I like to meet this Sunny, whatever her name is. I'm saying, can I ask you a question? Yeah. You almost gave your life for what exactly? What was this about? I'm sorry. I'm going to tell you something right now, and I know this is the most terrible thing to say. I think this space travel is some of the most stupid stuff I've ever seen in my life. It sounds great. It's wonderful. But we're like this. There we are. Here's the airlock. Yeah. Space station. Oh, we're learning all these things. What are you learning? Isn't it funny how they don't go past the Van Allen? They kind of stay right there. Isn't it funny how but they don't go to the moon. Why don't you go to the moon? No. But Elon Musk came along and he did it. He saved the day. And what are we doing? We're blowing his cars up and tearing up his dealers. You know what else he did, which is interesting? Elon Musk, because he's a weird guy, but I love the guy because I just don't know. He has DOGE. You know what that is? The Department of Government Efficiency. So he walked into this one place. He took a bunch of kids, like 19 years old. They look like nerds. And he said, I'm going to walk into a place. It just came off the street. And there was a place called USAID, International Development or whatever it is. And nobody knew what it was. It was Samantha Power. And her husband, of course, is Cass Sunstein, who wanted was infiltration. And one of but people always said, who is this woman? I don't know who she is. How do you go in? These people are worth like $40 million. Where do they get this money? I don't know. It's the way it is. Great investing. Okay. Well, USAID was this thing that nobody knew about. After all, who could be against USAID, USAID? Who in the hell could be against that? So Elon Musk comes in and says, we're going to start with you. And he took his nerds and all of a sudden they undid it and they said, you're not going to believe the money. This place was billions, maybe trillions of dollars. What he did, Sean, was he unlocked the source of everything. Politico to websites to MSNBC to left-wing this to Saturday Night Live, you name it. They just printed money. And it was unchecked. He went from there. Then he went to our Social Security, which is our, for pensioners or whatever you would call it in yours. Found out there were people 140 years old. Some people were older than the United States. What does this mean? The deep state, the intel state, the shadow government, the ruling class are scared shitless. They're thinking, he found out all this money. They're shutting this one down, shutting this one down. And the ripple effect is like I've never seen before. Because let me tell you something. Forget all of your weapons. If I get rid of all of the money that promoted all of the left-wing stuff, all of the propaganda, all this nonsense, and the music and the LGBTQ and the trans and all of this crap. If it's gone, guess what? There's nothing there anymore. You see this vacuum, and they don't know what to do. It's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen.
Question from Nikki. Putin agreed to a 30-day ceasefire. After the 30 days, will he be able to do as he will?
Now, let me ask Nikki.
He's not agreed, has he?
I think he said, I agree to the concept or something like that, didn't he? Now, imagine this. You got to be something. Hey, Vlad Putin, yeah. Let me ask you a question. Yeah, what is it? I want you to agree to a ceasefire, but I'm winning. Yeah, I know. Yeah, that does pose a problem. You see, we want you to stop. Why? Because it's wrong. Okay. But meanwhile, we're going to keep funding and fueling and arming the guy who's shooting you. But I want you to work with me because I got your best interest. But I'm paying for that. I think Putin would say, excuse me, Donald, yes. Are you smoking the kush? What, are you crazy? You want me to do what? I'm winning. I'm winning. What are you talking? What he went into Kirsch or whatever it was. He surrounds him. He goes, all right, come on, give up. Ceasefire. I don't understand this. I really don't. I mean, I don't. So I think, and I do believe that President Trump, deep down inside, says, I know, Vlad, work with me, please. This is the biggest bunch of nonsense. I don't know what we're talking about. I look tough. You look tough. Okay. Can we work on a hockey game? Okay, we'll work on that for a while. It's the most ridiculous thing in the world. Leave the man alone. Do you know what we did? This was before your time. In 1962, I was 4. But we were going to go to war with Russia because they had missiles in Cuba 90 miles away.
Yep.
This is on the border. We were going to go to war with Russia because of Cuba. And we kind of understand this. That was okay for us. Actually, it was the missiles in Turkey and not Cuba. So we're pretending like we don't understand this. What if China was on the southern border in Mexico? China. And there were pockets of, we would say, oh, no, we have the Monroe Doctrine. See, I love my country, but my government is another story. We say things to you that makes no sense. We do things exactly counter to what we tell you not to do. Why? Because we're the United States. We can do whatever we want. We can do whatever we want. And there are some people who say, well, what's wrong with that? Well, you know what? That catches up with you every once in a while. We don't have to do this. We can be the good guys. We don't need to do this. People know how strong we are. They know this. We don't have to keep, the real tough guy is the quiet guy. That's the guy you got to watch out for. Not the one who's braggadocious. So, I mean, I would be so terrible at this. Let me tell you what happened years ago. 2005, I think it was. In the Democratic Republic of the Congo, DRC, women, I got to be careful how we say this, women were absolutely ravaged by soldiers who were they suffered incomprehensible horrors with bayonets, stakes, spears. Women suffered fistulas. They became incontinent. They had to leave their villages or whatever because of it was the most. And I remember when I was doing a TV conference, I said, what are we doing? Help these people. Stop this. Now we use our force. Now we got to help these people. These women, this is ridiculous. Doctors were going over a fistula, sometimes after surgery, birth, but the point is, they're saying this is ridiculous. So anyway, so somebody asked me one time, what did they export? I said, what? What did they export? I think it was like chocolate or something. He goes, no. The great Gerald Salenti said, what would have been the chance of us invading Iraq if their main export was broccoli? So I said, let me get this straight. I, as a president, once said, I'm going to send over a couple of Apache helicopters. I'm going to go right to this village, and I'm going to say, if I see one person, I'm going to take all these women, and we're going to march them to a hospital, and I want you to, we're not going to do this anymore. This is easy. These are guys with, this is easy. We didn't do a thing. We didn't do a thing. In my country now, we have Tren de Aragua, TDA. I think they're gone now. From Venezuela. These are the baddest of the bad of the bad pouring over, and they look the other way. Sean, I know you and I are, they call us crazy, right? I think we're the sanest people. None of this makes any sense to me. I'm a rational person. I swear to God, none of this makes any sense. None of it. I don't understand the world. I'm not left-wing, right-wing, Republican, Democrat. I'm not Labor, Tory. This is just common sense. This is insanity.
Freud said, as well as having a will to live, we have a death wish. And if you put that in the context of crowd psychology, how often do we see these world leaders just completely destroy their own countries?
Well, let me tell you what happens. Let me tell you what I want you to do a little thought experiment. I want you to imagine that somebody from another planet comes, another star system, and you get to walk around with them for a week, and you want to show them something. And you want to say, well, first of all, let me tell you, we are great individually. Sometimes, for the most part. Put us in a crowd, and we're another story. Take your little doggy, your little puppy, and all of a sudden let them run around with a bunch of other little dogs. And next thing you know, that cute little poopa coo or chuka poopa chew, whatever these breeds, turns into this feral Cujo overnight. It doesn't. I don't have. One of the greatest experiments of all time was, and I mean this, somebody said, I'm convinced. All right, I'll make a bet with you. I can get people to cover their face, arms, legs, necks, eyes, eyelids, gums with the most hideous tattoos like that. No, you can't. Because there's always been tattoos. You know, your grandfather went to the war. He was a sailor, mom, an anchor, things like that. No. A tramp stamp, a cute little, no. Watch what I do. I'll make a bet with you. Overnight, I will have rational people do this. I know this person whose hands were all covered in tattoos. And when she was engaged, she would do this. And nobody saw the ring because she turned this claw with cobwebs and hard luck and skulls. And I'm thinking, she said, I can't believe it. I said, you just defaced your dermal real estate. All right, make a long story short. We did this to ourselves. There are people who even have, and I'm sorry, I'm going to say this very carefully, sometimes by virtue of either the melanin or the particular hue of their own skin color, you can't even see the tattoo. Like Jimmy Walker says, it's like skywriting at night. They're so crazy, they can't even see that. Because anything to go along. Social media changed our mind, but social media cameras. Okay, we're at that level. Take it a step further when it comes to geopolitical, to war, to death, to military. Put people into a group. Take them to wherever your parliament is or house or Downing Street or wherever you are. We'll send them to DC and all of a sudden this rational person like your little puppy turns into this nut who gets tattoos, who wants to fit in, who wants to show the other one, I'm tougher than you are against communism, whatever it is. I know how to make the money. I can fit in. And they lose their mind. And we sit back and we're saying, what happened? And the more people do it, like with tattoos, and I'm telling you, this showed me everything. They will do anything to fit in, no matter how insane it is. That's exactly what's happening right now. We are looking at a complete and total insanity. That's all.
Yeah, one of my favorite books is Gustave Le Bon's The Crowd,
Yep.
and he said,
that's me. Yes.
The intelligence of the crowd will fall to the lowest common denominator.
But
And people
however,
who ordinarily would behave
right.
in a certain way will behave completely in the opposite once
it's
they're
also
under the power of the crowd.
Two things, and then we got to, because I got to run here. But a couple of things. Number one, it sometimes the ochlocracy, which is the mob rule, mobocracy, sometimes it works in a weird way too. Because sometimes if there's a car that turns over and there's a woman who's pinned, all of a sudden people will come together and they will act in unison, and you will say, wow, that's rare, but it can work. But the problem with the crowd is I absent myself, I disassociate myself from my own particular sense of guilt or morality and let the crowd do it for me. It's just like all of a sudden, I'm going to wake up and I'm going to spend thousands of dollars. And one more thing about the tattooing, because I'm fixated on this. You are going to see the metals. You're going to see cancers. You are going to see the product of this later on when the metals in that ink, the skin was never, ever intended, because it's a great absorber, to handle 5 pounds of ink, tincture, leads, pigment. Nobody knows anything. It was never intended to be like this. Watch what happens. Oh, and the last word of the day, Ozempic and these weight loss things, get ready. There's going to be hell to pay for that. Massive weight loss, but muscle loss. Just wait. We do this to ourselves. Nobody's forcing it. They'll say, I can't wait to cover my skin. I can't wait to stick myself with this thing. And God would say to you, you're not supposed to lose weight like that. Oh, anyway. Isn't this fun?
Well, what about all the guys in prison who've done their man parts with the tattoos?
I heard that about you. I heard it. Rumor has it. Now, I
they
can't
called
tell
me
this
a blankie. They called me a blankie.
Rumor has it you had MITY tattooed, and then later on, during various forms of tumescence, it turned into Massachusetts Institute of Technology. But anyway, my dear friend, I must run. All the best to you and the Zigster. Always a pleasure.
Take care of your Prince Albert, my friend.
Do you have Prince Albert in a can? Well, let him out. He's suffocating. All right, my friend. All the best. Ta-ta.
Much love. Thank you.
Indeed.
Cheers. Next time. Bye-bye. What a phenomenal guest. Thank you for tuning in, folks. We have got Kate, Grooming Gang Survivor, part 3 next. And she's talking about Tommy Robinson and girls getting unalived by the grooming gang in this episode, and her own recovery. So if you watch the other 2 episodes of Kate, you get ready for the conclusion. If you've not, it's all very harrowing, folks. But it's getting shadow banned by YouTube as well. They don't want people knowing what's going on here with the GG. But Kate is going to let us know exactly what she went through and how she emerged from it and became such a strong person that she is today. So I'm going to end this one, and it's going to take you over to the next one. If it doesn't, click on the channel icon, and we will be live with Kate. Thank you for tuning in. That went really fast with Lionel, as usual. An absolute blast. Lionel's links are in the description as well. So hope to see some of you shortly.